But from a normal operation of a pension fund, when you are seated as trustees in your boards, in your meetings, how are you supposed to make decisions making reference to all this whole host of provisions in the Act amended, provisions in the regulations amended, all these practice notes, all these guidelines, which you must make reference to be sure that your decisions are well informed and within the operations which you're supposed to comply with. Of course, I'm not saying this to say that you don't need regulations, you don't need amendments to the regulations, you need those. The question is whether the pace is right. That's the question. Some changing factors in the sector require review. We have labor changes. People now are working for shorter periods in pension in employers, and therefore a pension system has to change to comply with that. There are new risks, the investment environment which is changing. There are fiscal factors. Government cannot give you taxes because they're looking for money. Those are factors which inform why government cannot concede to your tax requests in the pension funds. And we have increased awareness of members and demographic changes. All these things will require changes in the laws. However, just next, excessive regulation has its flip side. The flip side being complexity of the law. The law may become too complex for implementation and appreciation by those who are using it. And some people will probably don't understand what they're supposed to do because the law is changing too fast and it becomes too much on them. It becomes voluminous, the quality of the law itself may be compromised, and perceived to be too complex for the industry players. And this is not just an experience in this country. I've read in many other countries where they treat a good law in terms of how voluminous it is, how complex it is, how is it perceived by the players in the industry. What about cost? Obviously, you know, as I do, that every year you have to consult lawyers to change your documents every other year because of the changes in the industry, in the regulations, in the Act. And that means a cost aspect to a pension fund, increased reporting requirements, frequent reviews of constitutive documents, frequent training to understand the new laws, increased trustee liabilities and obligations, which of course require that you have to upskill yourself to understand what is happening next. And thirdly, it does inhibit innovations. Frequent and excessive regulation may create a tight framework denying a degree of employers and schemes to innovate and come up with appropriate pension solutions in the market. When you are too tight in terms of regulation, you don't have room to maneuver and change things to suit your environment because you are different from another scheme. All of you have to behave in the same way because that's what the law requires. And finally, the law becomes unpredictable. Inherent instability of a statute is always characterized by a frequent review. When we say that a statute is unstable, is because it is every other day it is being considered for amendment because it is inherently unstable and becomes unpredictable for the users. It becomes unpredictable for potential entrants into the system because they're not so sure what is going to come in the next year because it's frequently being amended. And with those few remarks, I will want to say the following without answering the question whether this space is right. The underlying purpose of an effective regulation is to ensure benefit security. That's the ultimate goal. And therefore, an amendment we propose to RBA, we want to change. Let us test it whether it is actually ensuring benefit security. Secondly, whether it is simple enough to implement, not too costly for the users. And thirdly, whether it is adaptable to the new trends and systems. things like ICT innovations and other things which are coming to the market, whether that law can actually accommodate that environment. And finally, whether it is flexible enough for emergencies like COVID-19, seems so flexible. If COVID came or another shock came, does the law allow you trustees to operate within your legal framework, or you require RBA to come and help you out on how to comply? So the law needs to be a little bit flexible for emergencies, and therefore, in conclusion, regulation should always focus on the core purpose of the industry. We do not need to introduce amendments every other day if they are not addressing the core purpose of the retirement benefit sector. Sometimes we do so completely lost whether we actually understand what the industry is all about. And because of that, we come up every other day with every amendment, sometimes which doesn't add value to the focus, to the purpose, and the intention of the retirement benefit sector. Thank you so much. Let me stop there because I didn't have a lot of time. I could probably just wind it up there. Thank you so much.